This is a special pop-up barbershop brought to you by the BFI's Comedy Genius, which is a nationwide season celebrating all comedy. My name is Anthony Andrews, we've got Tian Andrews, we are a company called We Are Parable, and we are presenting black comedy legends. And this barbershop is part of that, so inspired by Desmond. And it's a very special day for us today because we have the creator and writer of Desmond's here to talk a little bit about the creative process of him producing the show. But before we're going to introduce the person who's going to be interviewing him, which is Akua Jamfi from the British Blacklist. So come and sit down. So Akua's going to be asking our special guest some questions, and we're really honoured to have our guest here because he has really set the precedent for British black sitcoms and British black comedy. For a number of years. I mean, it's a show I've grown up on, a lot of our generation have grown up on this, so we are so proud and pleasured to have the one and only Trix Worrell.
It is an absolute honour. Hello, sir. Really good to meet you and talk to you. So, as Anthony introduced, you use Desmond set the blueprint, or I don't know, the legacy of British black comedy. How did you come up with it?
Well, it's interesting because at the time I had the first meeting about Desmond, I didn't even know I was going to come up with it. I just spent 2 years writing my first screenplay for a film called For Queen and Country. We started Denzel, and I knew Channel 4 were looking for new comedy. I'd won a writers' competition for Channel 4. With a play that I did on stage, which I wrote and directed, called Just Like Mohicans, which is all about these guys feeding on fire now because they knew everyone was going to be out. Anyway, so when I got the call, I just thought, well, why do they want me? I don't do comedy. I can't even retain a joke. But I thought I'd love to see this producer, and his name is Humphrey Barclay, and he works with pythons and all sorts. So anyway, on the way there, and the bus grew up outside the barbershop I used to go to, right, called Fair Dealing Peckham in Narm, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning. Around the corner from the barbershop was a girls' school, right, and a sixth form too. So as the girls are going past, right, the barber's now got their head pressed up against the window, chirping the girls from the door, and in the background I could see people just lathered up, waiting to be shaved and have their hair cut. Do you know what I mean? Whilst the barbers and dish again. So that's when I sort of came up with the idea. And when I got to meet Humphrey about an hour later, travelling up to his production company, I said to him, look, yeah, I've got this idea, it's set in a barbershop. And his face just dropped. He goes, yeah, what's it called? And short and curly. Yeah, how many barbershop? He said, you have no idea how many barbershop comedies people walk through the store and try and sell it to me. And I said, well, take this one then, because actually the man can't cut hair, you get me? And it's not even about the barbershop, because the barbershop just symbolises something else. It's the first black industry that black people own in Peckham, and more importantly, it's a place where people come and hang out. That's what it's about. It's not about cutting hair, it's about being in the space.
That's what sold him on the idea that...
Yeah. So that's what sold him the idea. He just went, oh, that's really interesting. And so what was interesting was that once they'd gone with it and gone with the idea, Michael Gray at Channel 4 then said, look, you can't call it Desmond. And I go, why not?
Why did you call it Desmond?
Because most barbershops I knew at the time had the barber's name on it, right? So the one I used to go to called Lloydie's, right? And Lloyd's a real character, and we shot outside Lloyd's actually. But also because it was about this guy, right, over and above him being a barber. It was that Windrush generation. He's that first generation guy who had all, stars in his eyes, he street paved with gold, he wanted to do it and go back home, but his wife didn't want to go home, right? Because she considered England her home. But anyway, Mark Gray said to me, we can't call it guy just in case he dies. What happens if the guy playing Desmond dies? Because actually what I want to do, Desmond, I'm so enamoured by the idea of it that I want to do more than 70 odd episodes to get it to do change format rights in America, because he thought it would sell really well in America.
So how many seasons did it run for?
We did 74 episodes, so yeah, we did it. No other sitcom has had 13 episodes at a time. Normally 6 or 7, but after the second series, After the first series, he just said, let's just go straight to 13. Let's just try and get to as many episodes as possible so we can change format rights. And so I wrote the first 19, and I don't write comedy, really.
So what was it? Because I think real life is funny. I've heard that been said. Real life is just funny. So it's just the moments you capture, and then it's the cast. And how did you go about finding this fantastic, memorable cast?
Well, there are two things. When I write, I never have a cast member in mind, just in case that voice police what I'm trying to do. But by the time I'd finished, they could have, and we had a meeting and said, well, who do you think could be Desmond? So it was Charlie Hunt and myself and Humphrey Barkley, and we said, there's only one person that can play that, Norman Beaton. And as for Carmen Munro playing his wife, I've adored her since I was a youth, you know what I mean? I just thought, in Angels, she's such a great actress. I've always wanted to work with her. That's my one bit of indulgence.
This is the power that you have in creating something.
Just that one little indulgence, but she never let me down, because one of the things about that Carmen character is that she wasn't funny. She was, you know, she was a straight guy. You know, I mean, she was funny, but she was the straight woman. She told it how it is, you know. No, she represented that quieter voice, the black female voice, that, you know, that run things really. You know what I mean?
It's the heart and bread, the common sense.
Yeah, that's the one.
Say those words. And also the children, because Sean and Gloria were us. The young people are like parents who are immigrants and they just don't get it. And Gloria and Sean really represented us at home, like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it was that really, because it's all right for parents, first generation, have all these aims and aspirations for your kids, but actually we're the ones in the playground living out this crap, you know, getting called all these names, you know, running after having to blap some man because he calls you whatever, you know, and calming down. But yeah, and in between that, trying to get A-levels, you know, so that was, that was a tough one.
That was really good, and you also, the thing that, I mean, again, we grew up on watching Desmond's, and it was our bit of cultural reference in amongst all the African-American stuff that we loved. So yeah, capturing the background, the clientele that weren't really clientele, that be sitting on a chair, having their moments and chatting and contributing to the fabric. How again did you find Paul Pye and Matthew?
Well, I mean, Paul Pye was a sort of an amalgam of some of my workless uncles. I used to just hang around and not do a lot. But no, there was a character in Lloydie's that was the sort of gopher guy, you know. He always had bicycle clips and his bike outside. So he's the one that goes to the bookies and go and bet for everybody, you know what I mean? And he's the one that go and get patty and come back with jerk chicken and tea, you know what I mean? So and his payment then was some food and somewhere to sit, you know, somewhere to sit and actually be respected, you know, for the fact that he was doing all this. Nobody sort of played him down. He wasn't that sort of character. People still respected him. You used to give him a clap every now and then if they got out of hand, and can't do that anymore. But you just lashed him with your tongue instead. But yeah. So that's where I got that character. There's always somebody like that who sort of doesn't fit in somehow.
But it's also part of the fabric.
It's part of the fabric of the whole thing, and what's wonderful is that within that space they find an identity. Because for me, my experience of Black Barbers is the only place that I really truly feel black. You know, I can just be black. You know,
it's like a safe space for us.
It's a safe space for us. We can just be ourselves. We can call it for what it is, and it doesn't go beyond the rule. You know.
So in that climate, you created this fantastic series. What was it like being a writer, a black writer at that time, and how easy or difficult was it to get something else made? Because nowadays, we're talking diversity, we're talking initiatives, we're trying to get people, black stories on screen, and we were still talking about Desmond and Real McCoy, and up to date, we still haven't had a really good British black sitcom that's kind of translated and stuck around the way Desmond and Real McCoy did at the time.
Well, it was difficult, because I've often said this, you know, the thing about us is the fact that when we, you know, knock down the doors of the bastions of comedy and ITVs and the BBC, they only allowed one. I just happened to be that one. I've often said if I wasn't Trix Worrell, who wrote Desmond, I probably wouldn't be a writer because I wouldn't have got a squeeze elsewhere. You know, fortunately, leading up to Desmond, theatre was, you know, the platform. You know, community-based theatre was a platform. You know, from Black Theatre Cooperative to the Albany Empire to all these spaces allowed new voices, you know, to be aired. Television still doesn't do that. You know, I found it really difficult. Even though I sort of was one of the first few black people that went to the National Film School, right? So, and even when I graduated, they still wouldn't let me direct Desmond. I had to hold up production because I was writing the first 19 and said to them, look, you know, if you don't let me direct these 3 things, I said, I only want 3. Don't let me direct, I'm not writing the rest of it. And so they went, oh, okay, begrudgingly. And part of the problem about that is that directors have so much power, and writer-directors have ultimate power, and that doesn't fit very squarely with a white producer. And also for them, it's all, you know, I found that what they really want to be is the gatekeepers of our culture, you know. And so they don't really give us that opportunity. They don't give us that space. They let one in, like I call it around myself or whatever. And once I'd done Desmond, I could get arrested. So I ran a film company. I ended up opening up in LA, and so I went to America.
You did what everyone else in the UK tends to do with black, goes to another country, goes to America, the Mecca. And what was it like being there? Did you find it was easier, or the work that you've done had better gravitas than does over here in your own homeland?
Yeah, it was easier because in America, the film and television industry has 2 daily papers. That's how big it is. It's the only industry that has 2 daily papers, right? Secondly, it is a job. You know, they view it as a job. This is what they do, you know, and if you've got talent, they suck it up, you know, and they say, okay, well, come here, come talk to me, come, what you got, show me what you got. In England, however, you know, it is, unless you've been to it, especially you've got that school tie, then you ain't going to show anybody what you got, you know. And what I find now is the fact that I sit opposite Toby's and Ben's and Joshua's, right, who've all done a degree in English at Oxbridge, but absolutely no jack about production, something I studied in MA for, you know, or film, or references, cuts on paper, even how to roll out a script sometimes. They really don't even know the rhythm of that. And I'm sitting opposite this guy, and this guy's telling me some stupidness, you know? And what I also find slightly irritating is that it's the expansion of producers. Suddenly there's a whole bevy of producers, you know, and unfortunately they all have to say something to justify their job. So writing a script becomes a much more protracted kind of thing. And what happens with comedy is a rhythm, right? And so if you stop that rhythm and you inject more words or less words, it then deflates the whole thing. You've got to go with it. And if there are too many voices, you lose its charm, you lose the rhythm.
What do you think of the state of the industry today? As in, I mean, there's lots of, there's some new young voices that are comedic. You've got Mo the comedian, you've got Michael Dapper, you've got Kojo. We've got a wealth of young black comedians. We've got some new black actors. We've got filmmakers who are taking the bull by the horns and doing their own thing. Where do you fit in as the OG of this all?
Yeah, I think I'm fitting quite well because what's nice about it is that, you know, there are plenty of platforms for those filmmakers to go and do their crafting. Mo the comedian is my son's best friend. They've known each other since they're 18 months. You know, he's a Narn boy. But what's wonderful is that they do have platform. They have an outlet, and the difficulty, however, is translating that to terrestrial television, half hours, because they write 10 minutes. Right? It's a different kind of format. And in TV, they want half an hour minimum to an hour. So that takes a different type of skill set.
I'm going to say, actually, though, I was going to say that the sketch is really difficult, and we are seeing, because even I was thinking about someone like Judy Love, back in the Real McCoy days, she would have stood out in something like the Real McCoy, or even taken a lead in a show like Desmond's. So can the sketch show, because I mean, sketch show seems like something of old, it is like the 10-minute clips, can that come back in this one? Do we have the patience or can it come back?
Well, you think, you know, we've sort of, with the attention span of most viewers nowadays, a sketch show would be perfect. But the difficulty of sketch show is actually keeping the bar really high. You know, even with those memorable sketch shows, some hit, some didn't. You know, it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to write a half-hour comedy. That's what's wonderful now. When I go and lecture, and I see these people in front of me, and they're all sort of keen and say, you know, I say, well, hands up, who shot what's the last film you shot? And you don't see many hands up, and I go, well, why not? And I go, you know, so who's got a smartphone? All hands go up. Who's got a laptop? All hands go up. I said, so what the rats you doing sitting here? You should be making film, innit? You know, because unless you exercise that brain or that visual eye, back in my day, it was Super 8, you know. I spent all my money on Super 8 films. As an old G, I love to pass on stuff, you know. What we did in Desmond, for me, greater pleasure I've got was what we did behind the scenes at Desmond. We brought on a whole bevy of new writers, one of which was a writer. It's a guy that came in his school uniform, his name's Lincoln Abrahams, and he used to say, you know, can I get in, you know, can I work for it? So eventually we said, yeah, because he banged the door down enough. And I said to him, so what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a cameraman, bro. I want to be a cameraman. Now, he is the chief camera supervisor of Strictly. So these things are achievable, and for us now, it's about teaching. It's about going beyond and actually learning our craft and getting better at it. And I want to set up a whole forum to do that. I want to set up a show with Channel 4. I'm going to start talking to them about a show where I will bring on new writers, new directors and whatever. So they will come and learn. It's almost like a masterclass, but at the end there will be an end result. Their show will be on, or they will be directing it, or they'll be doing the sound of it, or they'll be doing...
And that's necessary, that builds a legacy, especially on the fact of something like Desmond.